Hello. Hello. I'm Martin, CIO of the City of Tallinn. I'm quite new. I'm in this position from the last summer. I wasn't here last time. Last time my colleagues were speaking about what we have done in the area of e-services. Now, today, I will focus mostly on how we have done it. I will be joined soon in some 20 minutes with Oleg, who will be describing the Moscow's experience. City of Tallinn is very shortly capital of Estonia, less than 500,000 inhabitants. We are about 1/3 of the Estonia's population, a little bit more than half of our GDP is created in City of Tallinn. In our city organization, there are around 21,000 employees. Our central IT service is providing service for all our city departments and agencies, altogether with 270 institutions with 14,000 employees. We offer infrastructure services like networking, computers, basic software, printing, presentation technology, service desk, administration, server administration, software administration, and stuff like that. That's one part. And the other part is e-services and digital transformation. And I will today only focus on the latter part. What we are really proud about is our situation in the area of e-services. We have created hundreds of e-services. Our focus have been in the area where they matter the most, where the processes have huge volumes, like in social field or education or transport. And we are not concentrating much on very, very minor services. And we can say that we have already several years ago picked up most of the low-hanging fruits. So most of the most important processes are covered by information systems, and most of our most used services are provided in e-service format. We have 45 registered information systems. That comes down to how you count them. Actually, we can say that we have hundreds of them, but these are legally registered information system, and we are almost paperless in the whole city government. There are very few processes that still are on paper. We are trying to get rid of them in coming years. What I'm going to talk about today is these development principles that are behind our e-services and digital transformation. And I will stop and focus on the places and on the topics that I consider most important, and maybe have some suggestions for you. Of course, you have many from different countries and different backgrounds, but there are some things you can probably use from our experience. And as an example, I was thinking that I use a concrete information system as an example. I even thought that I will show you a live system, but that would consume too much time, and so I only talk about it. But all my examples will be from our social transport service information system. It just went live this year. It's a system that allows disabled people to apply for different types of taxi service, and one part is applying for the service, and the other part is applying for the specific ride wherever it's needed. And the system has this e-service part, and also the backbone of it is the process management system for city officials and taxi companies. And the principle behind it was that it's developed in a way that it can be taken in use everywhere in Estonia. So what are we starting with? It might sound kind of obvious that every process, every development should start with service design and process analysis. And you can say that it should be actually everyday management practice, this constant improvement of processes and stuff like that. But in practice, you are from public sector, you are probably aware, in many cases, when some department comes to us and asks us to develop some information system, then they say that the process is already perfect, just automate it. We have made it mandatory to have a service design and process design process because in many, many cases we find out that there is plenty of room for improvement in process, and that's the easiest way to make things simpler. We can, there are laws, there are city regulations. In many cases, these can be changed. There are a lot of legacy in the processes that can be left out. There are work arrangements that can be changed. So my recommendation here would be this analysis and the service design process should be mandatory because it's very inconvenient for many process owners to have their process analyzed in depth. And when it comes to social transport information system, then we described the use cases, the to-be model of the service. We planned it to be 100% digitalized, and the client's effort for applying for the service should be minimal. The other second principle, which derives from the first one, is the legal groundwork of our information systems. It applies to the whole country, not only the city of Tallinn. We have a central information systems catalog called RIHA, provided by central government. In RIHA, all our public sector information systems are registered. There's a specific workflow you have to go through, and there are a lot of important information stored about the information systems, like why is it, what's the legal background of it, who is using it, and what services are provided, what data is processed, in what way, what kind of e-services are provided, what kind of data from different information systems are used, and very important is also that there is data about the web services these information systems provide. So it makes much easier to develop e-services if you have some central catalog for it. Then the approval process also ensures that these systems are GDPR compliant. If any of you are from Europe, then it's a very hot topic for the last year. For others, it probably isn't. GDPR is General Data Protection Rule. It's often considered to be a showstopper or great limiter of what we can do. We in City of Tallinn actually don't see it that way. We see that it doesn't limit us much. It creates a bit more bureaucracy, but if public service is required by the law, then we can collect data, we can process the data, we can profile citizens and do stuff like that. So if someone wants to talk about it, I will later in the City of Tallinn stand, we can talk about it. And also this data security, just a couple of sentences about it. In Estonia, the data security is covered in a way that we have a huge catalog of measures, security measures to be taken into account, more than 1,000 pages. And you, based on what kind of data you have, what kind of the security level of the data is, and what kind of technical solution you have, you choose the necessary measures and implement the measures. So it's like an easy way to create a checklist of the measurements you have to take into use. And it's called ISKE. It's actually translation of the similar standard of Germany. And it also covers digital data security, but also organizational and personnel. Then, as you are here for a second day, you probably know about Estonia's e-identity. E-identity is probably the cornerstone of Estonia's e-success and the most important thing to have to provide personalized services. It's very good if you have e-identity provided by the central government. We have this ID card-based e-identity, which basically provides us two most important functions. One is authentication, and the other is digital signature. There are some minor functions more, but these are the most significant. If you don't have this provided by central government, then you have to use some kind of alternative which immediately makes things much more complicated. If you represent central government in your country, and if you can push through e-identity provided by central government, please do it. It makes everyone happier. And it works on ID card and on mobile phone, and the security is provided by the calculations done in the chip, so it's dependent on the physical chip. Okay, but I don't stop on this topic too long. Then one central principle, again, not only for the Tallinn, but for the whole Estonia, is interoperability. The concept is that we store in the information system only that much of data that it is necessary in this specific system, and we use the data from all the other systems. Typically, the data we use a lot of data from population register, e-business register, address register, and central registers like that, vehicle register, for example. And data interaction is done by X-Road. I probably didn't mention that. Okay, I will go to this. And yes, so the interoperability is one of our central principles, and it's granted by X-Road. You have probably also seen a lot of slides about X-Road. It also has several functions, but the most important is that it's a secure data integration layer provided by central government, which also means that it can be trusted. It can be trusted layer for the data integration. It uses several functions that is needed for data interaction. You can read it from the slide. What would be my recommendation, if you don't have it in your country, but if you represent some bigger organization like a big city, then my recommendation would be to have similar layer at least for your own organization. Then you can interact the data between your different information system, and if other cities or central government are providing similar layers for their, for example, for ministries, then you can make connections between these layers, which will still make the data interaction much more easier. That would be my recommendation, but to have it on central government level, it's just perfect. And as an example of our social transport information systems, we have 5 big information systems provided by central government, which are providing us the data. If you think about my last slides, they actually represent quite well the philosophy which is about 20 years ago became popular, which is domain-driven design, which means that every unit or process owner should be responsible for their own process, for their own information system, for their own data, and they should be exchanging the data in some generally agreed way. And it can be with many different technological platforms. The systems can be developed based on many different technological platforms, but it's not important if they communicate in agreed way. And it makes the system very robust. You can replace the components, you can replace the legacy, you can replace you can create new components for the whole system. So this concept of domain-driven design would be my recommendation if you build up the whole architecture of e-city or e-government. Now, what we mean by e-service in City of Tallinn. This iceberg is quite a cliche, but it's valid. We mean by it that the visible part, like the e-service for the citizen, is actually out of the complexity, very, very small part, like 5 to 10% of the complexity. Most of the complexity lies in the hidden part, which is the process management system for the city officials, for city partners, and stuff like that. And the aim is, and the better the process management system is done, the easier or better the e-service can be. For example, again, our social transport information system. If we get the data, necessary data for central government information system, population register, education register, we can create pre-filled application forms based on this data. We can use the data from previous transactions. We can make the process for the citizen much smoother. And we only collect and store the data we necessarily mean. We use the data from these databases where it's up to date and where the responsibility for the data lies. And to turn back to this social transport information system, just an example, there are different roles that are using exactly the same system. The citizen makes initial application to get the transport service. It's approved or rejected by the city official, and then the regular ride applications will be issued by the citizen. The logistic does the route planning. There are some fixed routes and some on-demand routes, so some planning is needed, and the actual taxi or bus driver is providing the service, and they have also the tablets in their taxis to see the information they need. So to some extent it's quite similar to Uber, for example. Then, and these were actually the most important points I wanted to point out. Then we have some other supporting tools. Most of our information systems today have some kind of GIS component. We had different approaches, but today the service is provided by city planning department. All the map services are provided by them. By that way, we get better data. They have a lot of data layers, a lot of map layers. We get better data quality and more functionality from them. So, and that's actually a screenshot from this social transport information system again. Then, very popular to speak about open data. We have also our open data portal, and we provide the data as open data if possible. From the social transport information system, there is basically no open data because it's personal and very delicate data. We can't provide it as open data. Most of our open data is spatial data, maps and stuff like that, transport data, and it's actually used. For example, Waze, the navigation app Waze is using our open data. Then we have user interface guidelines to grant a similar user experience for everyone. The user design, the size of the buttons, and how the look and feel should be. This is a screenshot of the guidelines, and and this is a screenshot of the social transport information system developed based on these guidelines. And of course, I must have a slide for our future plans. If you were listening Siim Sikkut yesterday, Estonia's CIO, I wasn't there, but he was definitely speaking about one-click or zero-click services or invisible event-driven services. We are also trying to move that towards that way. There are many events that can trigger service. Very simple example, if a child is born, we can instantly get paid a childbirth benefit and put the child on a kindergarten queue, or there are many things that actually can be event-driven, or at least if they cannot be, they can be at least one-click services. Then we are planning, we are having ambitious plans with, for example, with City of Helsinki to provide cross-border services. Not easy to do, but we are moving forward. Then cybersecurity is always in the focus. It's nothing actually that's specific for the future, but it has been changing during the recent times a little, because the machine learning and AI is coming into force, and if a machine makes a real decision affecting real people, then it's a big ethical question. Can we let the machine make the decision, or should we not use that such a powerful tool? Big dilemma. So we must have a view on it, a strategy on it. We are trying to make our economy in general more real-time. It means mostly like e-invoices, automatic payments, automatic tax reports. The example that everyone probably understand is when automatic tax reports are sent from Uber or Airbnb to tax board. That would be one simple example. And like every city, every big city, we are also working on our 5G strategy. We have some pilots ongoing, and actually we don't know exactly where will it lead us. So, in general, I have covered it all. Thank you. Now Oleg will take the stage, and after that we are available for questions. And if any of the topics interest in more detail, then I will be available in City of Tallinn stand after this. We have lunch after this presentation. Is it so? Yeah. So after the lunch, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.